I'd like to talk about something that I don't think anybody in Canada really thinks about. It's the problem that we have with shared cost programs. This is a situation where a senior level of government, either the province or the federal government, will make contributions usually to a municipal or city government to pay for various undertakings. Might be skating rinks. In the most recent one that people are probably aware of is in in Victoria. The city has been up until now pumping its sewage out into the middle of the Pacific, and this is not considered to be a very environmentally friendly thing to be doing, even though many people argue that it really isn't an environmental problem because there's rapid currents in the Pacific, and the sewage is dispersed very quickly and really isn't a problem. But it's not a very green thing to be doing in today's world, pouring raw sewage into a body of water. So the federal government wants to be seen to be helping the citizen, so they come forward with a proposal that they will pay a third of the cost, and of course the province says it will pay a third of the cost. So the people in Victoria are only confronted with having to pay 1/3 of the cost for putting this sewage treatment plant in. Now, the question would be, why in the world would that be a problem? It means that it's cheaper for the citizens of Victoria if the federal and provincial governments make a contribution. But we have to remember there is really only one taxpayer, and Victoria is not unique. Every city, if they don't have their sewage treatment plant, it will be something else that the federal and provincial government will make contributions to. Now, why do they do this? Why do they do this? Well, the federal government, the kinds of things that are within their jurisdiction, are really not very catchy from a voter point of view. They're in charge of sending aid money to Bangladesh, to having diplomats in the various embassies and high commissions around the world. They buy fighter airplanes. They hire some people to grade beef. They put up they hire people to stop you at the border when you're coming back from the United States to see whether you're trying to smuggle whiskey into the country. The kinds of things that the federal government does are not very voter friendly. The kind of things they like doing are cutting ribbons to a skating rink or some other facility that impacts more directly on the taxpayer. And so that's why the federal government likes to be seen to be helping out. But as I say, they're doing that to all municipalities, all jurisdictions. A really more sensible way of doing this would be to give the taxing authority to the different municipalities so that they have the wherewithal to raise this money on their own. So if you take the case of Victoria again, this is going to be about $1 billion undertaking. My understanding is that if on the basis of 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 cost, the residents of Victoria would be looking at something like $350 to $375 per year for 25 or 30 years to pay for this sewage treatment plant. Well, that's a significant amount of money, and but I think it's probably reasonable that they could vote for it. But if they were confronted with the entire cost, say $1,100 or $1,200 per year to get rid of their sewage, I suspect that the answer would be that they would vote not to do it. So it means that the benefit cost assessment that has to be made would be made by one group of people, knowing the full costs and the full benefits, and that's the way it should be. Now, if if people thought that Victoria was unique and the only jurisdiction getting that benefit, that would be different. But all municipalities are eligible for this. If it isn't for the sewage treatment plant, it will be something else. And so I think we get into a situation where the decision is being made by Victoria, by the taxpayers of Victoria, by only looking at 1/3 of the costs. And if we're wondering why deficits and debt is growing, it's because we're making the decision. People are making the decision on the basis of 1/3 of the cost, and I think that's a major reason why the provincial and federal debts are growing the way they are. And the solution, as I say, is to be giving taxing power, giving the tax points, if you want to call it in that jargon, to the appropriate jurisdiction. I know in Saskatchewan, many small towns had skating rinks that really could not be. They wouldn't, if all of the costs had to be borne by the people living in each of those communities, they would say this is ridiculous. There's no need to do this, and it's simply because they're looking at being able to build something for 33 cents on the dollar, and the federal politicians are there to cut ribbons, and the provincial politicians are there to cut ribbons. And everybody thinks everybody's great, but in fact there's really only one taxpayer, and he doesn't realize that he is paying the cost 100%, and it's just a question of which jurisdiction he has to pay the tax dollars to.